Okay, students, so our next poem is Song, often referred to by its first line, Go and Catch a Falling Star. This is another, probably earlier Donne poem. It's a lyric song, a lyric poem, so it's like a set of lyrics, and this one definitely would be having some sort of musical accompaniment. We can see from the fact that we've got these lines that are single iams, so these sort of little I am lines, two syllables, and find, what wind, and swear, nowhere, yet she will be. That there's going to be a sense of melody. It's the sense of a melody to the poem. That the tone and the rhythm, these things really matter to this poem, whereas perhaps they're not quite as important in the sort of more dramatic monologue type of poems, even if they are slightly lyrical in nature. This is definitely a song, so you can tell by the title. So one of the things that we have here, which is different, is that we do not have a female recipient. So there's no female recipient of this poem. The other three that we've seen so far, there is. This is more to a sort of public audience, so again, like a song. It's more to a general audience. And that the whole poem really explores this idea that an honest woman is impossible to find. So there's a sense in which, like a lot of the rest of Donne collection, the sense of misogyny. So I'm going to put a question mark, even though there's clear misogyny in the poem. This sense of which, women are fickle and changeable, we saw that in Woman's Constancy, but it goes a little bit further here in the sense that, there's no such thing as an honest woman seems to be the nature of the poem. And it accomplishes that through lots and lots and lots of references to myth and legend and the supernatural. So let's read through it, let's see what it does. Go and catch a falling star, get with a child a mandrake root. Tell me where all past years are, or who cleft the devil's foot. Teach me to hear mermaids singing, or to keep off envy stinging, and find what wind serves to advance an honest mind. So it starts with these impossibilities, impossible images, impossible images. Or impossible references. A falling star, can you do that? No. Get with child a mandrake root. So mandrakes are, this whole thing seems a bit Harry Potter-esque, doesn't it, really? Like, I'm almost expecting this to be like one of the clues in the hunt for the, in the Pursuit of the Goblet of Fire or whatever. Do you remember that, the fourth book? That mandrakes are sort of mythical creatures that grow under hangman's nooses, I think, something like that. Tell me where all past years are. Where does the past go? Who cleft the devil's foot? Who made the devil? Teach me to hear mermaids singing. So these are sort of fantastical references. These to myth and legend. And find what wine serves to advance an honest mind. So these are all images of these mythical things, how difficult they are to find. We could look forever and never find them, is the idea. So lots and lots of references to myth. If thou beast born to strange sights, things invisible to see, ride 10,000 days and nights, till old age snow-white hairs on thee. Thou, when thou return'st, wilt tell me all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. So the middle stanza here, the middle stanza of the poem really gets into this misogynistic view of women. So if you're born to strange sights, so you might come from a strange land, or you might have an ability of second sight, things invisible to see, you can see things that aren't, the rest of us can't. You could ride for 10,000 days and nights until you got old, and when you returned, you could tell them all the strange wonders. So there's a sense of journey and discovery and legend, all these legendary images, discovery and legend. But he brings it back down to something quite prosaic, something quite everyday, which is that women are inconstant. There's no true woman, is what he seems to be saying. He brings back all of these mythical references to there's no such thing as a true woman. So this sense in which the contrast between the fantastical images, between fantastical imagery, fantasy or myth, and the everyday, the prosaic, the human, and the everyday. And of course, that is one of the ways it could be seen as what we call bathos. and that's a type of humour. So bathos is this type of humour where you create big ideas or big images and then you comically undercut them. So you've got falling stars and mandrake's roots and the question, where does the past go? These massive big metaphysical questions, but it's brought back down to this humorous thing of, you can't find these mythical things, but you also can't find a true or fair woman. So, essentially just the whole thing so far seems to be a bit of a sexist joke, really, is what we've got so far from Donne. If thou find'st one, let me know, such a pilgrimage were sweet, yet do not, I would not go, though at next door we might meet. Though she were true when you met her, and last till you write your letter, yet she will be false, ere I come to 2 or 3. So, if you find an honest woman, he says, write me and let me know. So again, this sort of conversational tone, it's really down to earth, this conversational tone. You find an honest woman, write me and let me know. And by the time you've written your letter, she's going to be false to another 2 or 3 women. So this idea of women as mutable and changeable. Mutability is this theme. It's particularly directed at women. So that's essentially just a representation of women as untrustworthy, and they're going to be going off with another 2 or 3 guys before you can tell me about how great this woman is. A sense in which women are seem to be negative from top to bottom, really, and also these sort of sexist jokes based on, you're as likely to catch a falling star as you are to find an honest woman. However, I'm going to try and rescue it from this simple sense of which, let's have a joke at how inconstant women are, which is not particularly poetic. Essentially it could just be a song about, that's negative towards women, which isn't particularly great. We've got to read it in the context, though, of the religious views at the time, and I think it's this word here that opens up another possibility with the poem, really. That there's less. Let's imagine that this isn't simply just about women, or that's the surface reading. We have the surface reading, which is this aimed at, in a very prosaic way, a way of aimed at the sort of a sexist poem that is misogynistic in tone, that essentially is taking the mickey out of women's nature. But let's say it's not just about women, let's say it's about people. Let's say it's about humanity. So the metaphysical aspect of this might be that this is about humanity. Such a pilgrimage were sweet, yet do not, I would not go, though at next door we might meet. So there's a possibility that what happens in the third stanza here is it extends this sense of the fallen nature of humanity. So the sense in which being constant, being true, having noble qualities, this is something that humans strive for but never accomplish. So though she were true when you met her, and last till you write your letter, she will be false ere I come to 2 or 3. So forget the woman bit for just a minute and make it a poem about humanity. At the time, these are very Christian views, really, that humanity is fallen, that we are in our nature corrupted in some way, and that links to the idea of the fall from grace, the fall from in the Garden of Eden, that humanity can strive for the transcendent, can strive for these transcendent images, can strive for a falling star, can try explore the world. They have such transcendent goals, we're striving constantly for perfection, and yet in our nature we're corrupted. So the contrast between the transcendent and the transient is another element of Donne's poem and it links this sort of emerging religious conception in Donne's poetry that we can strive for the transcendent, that our goals as humans tend to be metaphysical and huge and perfection and all these things that are out there, that are eternal perhaps, and yet in our nature we are corrupted. You're probably thinking, yeah, nice go, Phil. Good attempt, but yeah, it's just a bit of a big old sexist poem. I think that's probably one of the readings that you're going to have to deal with, really. Yeah, this could just be a big old, sexist joke, a song that says, look how bad women are. And last till you write your letter, yet she will be false ere I come to 2 or 3. However, I'm going to be slightly controversial here. I'm going to raise the possibility that it's more than about just how bad women are. I understand that jokes themselves can be sexist, and that's not fine. It's bad when people make jokes that are sexist. However, it is supposed to be ironic, and it is supposed to be a joke. Like, if you look at the I am, after each I am, there's like the bathos, there's the punchline almost, yeah? So, nowhere lives a woman true and fair. It's supposed to be a joke. False here I come to 2 or 3. Oh, she's going to be, like, okay, underlying that joke, there is a misogynistic view towards women, but we're not supposed to take it seriously. Like, we've been saying this right from the start with metaphysical poetry, that it's riffing, it's taking an idea for a walk. It doesn't mean I'm marching behind the banner of all women are evil, or look at my pamphlet on how terrible women are. It could just be a silly exploration of an idea that you don't particularly believe. We know that that's a big part of metaphysical poetry. So although we must see the political element to a poem, we must go look at how sexist it is, or from a feminist perspective, the representation of women is very, very negative. And it is, we also have to remember form. We have to remember that not every poem is a pamphlet or a political manifesto, that this is not simply, something that we're supposed to believe. It's just a light-hearted, quite fickle tone itself, like a light-hearted song, really, that we're not supposed to take particularly seriously. And if you know anything about metaphysical poetry, you'll see that we have this contrast in between the incredibly deep, throughout all the metaphysical poems we deal with, deep, rich, really quite metaphysical and philosophical ideas, but at the same time a sort of flippant tone. This is just some silly ideas I've had, and that links with the conversational and the monosyllabic tone we've seen in the rest of the poems. So I suppose be completely open to the fact that this could be just a simply sexist, misogynistic, poem, but at the same time, there are things we can do with it that link to the broader metaphysical nature of the poetry and the broader Donne's collection. You can see me struggling with this, can't you? I'm really trying to make it more than just a sort of naughty song that says women are bad. I've tried. I hope you don't hate it. Thank you.